Well, glory to God. Hey, listen, we'll be right back into the session in just a few minutes here, but we want to stop and bring you up to date as to what will be happening here in the next few months at the temple. These are only a couple things that we have going on. Listen, in March the 29th and the 30th, schedule yourselves to be with us. Mark your calendars. We want to see you here at the temple, face in the place, shouting shoes and everything else you can use to help us to magnify the name that's above every name. Out of the Ashes 2025 with the Honorable Bishop Dr. James E. Daniel, the diocesan bishop of the 27 Episcopal Dioceses, the Assemblies of the World, Pentecostal Assemblies of the World. Bishop Daniels is a man of God that will be bringing the house down. If you've ever heard this man of God, you know that he is known to bring the house down. A man with a message for the time. Again, that is Out of the Ashes 2025 here at the Greater Refuge Temple Ministries, March the 29th, 4 p.m. The Honorable Bishop Dr. James E. Daniel. And listen, you don't want to miss it. Get geared up for Sunday, March the 30th in our 10 a.m. service. 10 a.m., yes, here at the temple, 1005 Northwest Central Avenue here in the city of A. Meet in our Back to the Bible Out of the Ashes. The Honorable Chief Apostle Dr. Lloyd Benson Sr. will be bringing the house down. Listen, you don't want to miss this time because this is going to be a great, rewarding, back to the Bible time out of the ashes. Again now, mark your calendars. That is March the 29th, 4 p.m., Bishop James E. Daniel, and Sunday, March the 30th, 10 a.m., the Honorable Bishop, Chief Apostle, Lloyd Benson Sr. will be with us. Hey, listen, we would be remiss if we didn't tell you about what's going to be happening here in June in our convocation. Everything this year is geared towards back to the Bible and also challenging the challengers with a real challenge. June the 6th through the 8th, 2025 this year. In our convocation, we have been blessed again this year to bring back here to the temple the Honorable Pastor Sandra Riley. Sandra Riley has been here Just for You Ministries, great woman of God. She's a renowned evangelist. She just preaches all over the place there for the Pentecostal Assemblies of the world, and so many other churches have been actually blessed as a result of Pastor Evangelist Dr. Sandra Riley. She's going to be with us at 7 p.m. on June. Again, that is June the 6th, Friday night, 7 p.m. Pastor Sandra Riley bringing the house down. Then, of course, on that Saturday, we're going to have some workshops beginning at 8 a.m. in the morning. And then, of course, we have a midday speaker from Baton Rouge, the honorable young man doing a great job in Baton Rouge, Pastor Ryan Allman. Pastor Ryan Allman of the Full Gospel United Pentecostal Church will be sharing the Word of God in our noon midday service. Again, that is on the 7th of June here at the temple. And then, of course, wrapping it up on the 8th, the Honorable Bishop Dr. Timmy Miller is going to be bringing the house down. Listen, I like to use the term bringing the house down because we are what we call somewhat of a high energy church here at the temple. And if you've ever visited with us and if you've ever been here with us, you know that if you are here during our praise and worship, most of the time we're in what we call high energy. And we want to invite you and your friends and everyone that you can to come and be a part of what's going to be happening here again. June the 6th through the 8th, 2025, Back to the Bible Convocation here at the Greater Refuge Temple Ministries. Now, listen, we need to get back down into the session that we started with Elder Joseph Ricard Jr., my son. He's really doing a fantastic job in helping us to sort of navigate ourselves into some changing times. And certainly he is some kind of a preacher. He is one of our very own here at the Greater Refuge Temple Ministries. And until the next time, Bishop Ricard said a big God bless to you. And let's get back now down into that session with Elder Joseph Ricard Jr., and you be blessed. Well, you're back in the corner. Hope you enjoyed that first segment or session we had there. We're going to spend a little bit more time because we still have a few more questions that I would love to bounce off of my son here relative to this challenging day that we live in. As a matter of fact, in case you didn't join us earlier or you weren't here when we first started, listen, our theme this year for 2025 is challenging the real challengers. And so now we decided to do just a little segment here in the corner. And I want to try and pick up where we left off. A few minutes ago, we were talking about balance and being naturally balanced, and you did such an awesome job on those first things. But the second question now that's proposed is, do you find that many people have so much of one side until they can't realize the value of what's on the other side or what the other side provides? Did you get that? Or okay, you kind of halfway got that?
I mean, it's like a, I don't want to say epidemic, but you see it so often. Mm-hmm. It's so prevalent.
Right.
Where people, it's like a car that's out of line, that's pulling one way.
Right.
You know, and if it's doing that, it's going to be hard to it's going to be hard to navigate. And sometimes when you just so one-sided with something.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be hard to navigate direction in your life because you're always pulling in one direction. And so as you're going through life, you have to make sure that you retain the less necessarily or the possible balance that you can have in this day and hour to get where you need to go.
Oh, wow.
Because sometimes people are so one-sided.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And they're so caught up in this.
Right.
And if you're so caught up in that, that means your focus is here. Then everything that's over there, you're missing. You're robbing yourself of the opportunity of what life has over here. And so that's why we have to embrace the totality of who God made us, of different perspectives. You know, I try to be not one-sided, one-dimensional, but see things from different perspectives.
Awesome.
And when you see things from different perspectives, there's a story from different perspectives.
Wow.
You know, when Jesus came through and Zacchaeus got in the tree, you know, I know we preach it from the perspective of telling him come down, but when Zacchaeus got up there, he was able to see Jesus from a different angle than everybody else. And when you kind of get in different positions and you're able to see things from different perspectives, it brings a certain substance to your life that looking in one aspect won't do. And so you learn from different things. When you listen to other people's life experiences, it sort of enriches your own life because you begin to realize, you know, okay, this is maybe how you see it or how you grew up, but when you see other people's or hear about other people's life, it helps you. It helps you to even have empathy. It helps you to develop being a well-rounded person. You know, when you're in Scripture, when you're dealing with the Bible, you just can't come from one aspect of it. You know, biblically, you have to. It's different perspectives and different angles, different points of view, different vantage points, and when people are one-sided, they rob themselves of so much more of what God intends for their life to be. God is a God that created so many things.
Right.
So why in the world would we want to limit ourselves to one perspective? I mean, he created, even in time, you have past, you have present, you have future. And, you know, you have, even in viewing, you have the one-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional. It's so many more. There are different levels. There are different dimensions. And when you understand these different things, it comes to glory, from glory to glory, from faith to faith. I mean, from perspective. Growth is about learning different things, seeing things from different vantage points. And that's what Jesus was, the personification of these things.
Absolutely. So then, that being said, and I echo that, and not only that, I endorse and applaud that. And the thing that really gets my attention a lot of times is that specifically we that are scholars or students, I should say, not scholars, but students of the word. Right. Sometimes year after year after year, we can get so entrenched into what we call truth.
Right.
When in fact, when we did our hermeneutics on a particular text, we discovered that we we did not exegete that text properly because there were so many other outside connections to bring out the inside purpose. And so here's the point that I would like to stress in that, as far as I see it. Now, I can get caught up in my one-sidedness and never see the value of the other side. And correct me if this is wrong, if it sounds like it's not right. I can get so caught up into that one side of the thing until I never see the other side of the equation, therefore hindering me, in some cases disabling me from my real purpose. Because sometimes people are so caught up in church purpose until they have no life purpose. And we understand, we don't want people to think that we're slighting living, because I believe in living what the word said, if I can. And for all the times that I'm not doing it, I'll still try to live, because if I'm doing something that's not right, the word tells me get it right. So I try and go to that. So that's another mess. That's not even the topic today. But if I forget that there is so much that can be valuable to me outside of the confines of what I call being balanced and staying away from. Sometimes, is it fair to say, or should I approach this cautiously, that sometimes some of the things that we try and stay away from, we know we stay away from sin, correct? We understand that. We don't even need to get theological on that. There's no debate. But sometimes the things that we are trying to avoid could very well be the thing that God has put in the earth to take you to your greater place of success in life. Absolutely. For example, years ago, I heard a man say one time, and I'll just say this, I say it lovingly and respectfully, and it was well-intended, it was well-intended, but he said, and I won't repeat what one young man said, he was just a well-intended moron. I won't say that. Well, I did say it, didn't I? Well, anyway, I quoted him, right? So I can get away with that, all right? But anyway, he had this young man that was going to school, and, he was pursuing whatever he was pursuing in college. But sometimes he would not be in church because he had to study and he had to do this. Well, the word was, you're putting this before God. Well, I mean, if you're going to excel and succeed in life and you're going to school, why not apply yourself to study? Now, you do know that's in the scripture. The book says that we're even in the word. We're to be diligent. We're to be found diligent. We're to be studious. We're to study, and we're supposed to apply the principle. But now, sometimes, even now, as my 40 plus years in ministry, I have learned, if I've not learned anything at all, I have learned that just being connected in the church does not award you the benefits of what we teach. And we teach the wealth of the heathen has been laid up for the righteous. So how do you get it if you don't go after it? Does that make any sense? That's a mouthful. Hey, listen, let's get to that next question, because I'm enjoying this. Hey, listen, I am enjoying this. I know you're being blessed as a result of this time in the corner. Again, we want to continue to invite you to be in the corner with us. Periodically, we're going to be having some one-on-one conversations with some bishops, some apostles, fivefolders that will be coming in pretty soon. We will also be connected with some people here right here in the city of Amite in the surrounding areas that will be in the studio in this platform. And I have a son that is really into this media stuff. He's sharp. He's my second son. His name is Brother Ricky. We call him Rick, and some people call him Slick because he's pretty slick. And so he'll be coming in as well. And we want to make sure that we try and endorse what he's doing with R&R. It's R&R, I believe it is. Double R Entertainment or whatever he's known. I want to bring him in on the platform, and he'll be able to share relative to events and stuff like that. He's just sharp in that area. But right now, we want to try and see if we can get in at least one more question today. Okay. Can y'all just stay with us? Can you stay with me just a little while longer? Thank God for you, and thank God for my media personnel that's here with us today, doing a fantastic job. And I'm sure he would not mind me calling his name, Brother Eric. He's just doing a great job helping us. He has done a wonderful job in setting up the studio and getting us all ready. And if you need someone to set a studio up for you, I have some key people in this church. Listen, I'm telling you, they're sharp. I have my media staff. I have my sound techs. God has graced us with some wonderful people here, and these people are sharp. They are people that I would endorse at any time. If you need them, listen, why don't you call 985-748-3091 and we can give you information on these great people so that maybe you can get them connected with what you're trying to do in ministry or even in your secular. I'm sure they would probably help you with some of your secular stuff if you're doing it as it relates to setting up your businesses and setting up your media technology and all of that stuff. And I don't know whether my son would do it or not, but I'm sure he probably would. If you call him and get in touch with him, he'd help you to set up events and show you how it's done. We're hoping that he's going to be in one of these sessions in the very near future to help us with that. But listen, for today, if you will stay with me in the corner for just a short period, a little bit more time, I want to try and get at least one more of these questions because, hey, listen, Elder Gerard's doing a fabulous job in sharing on these questions. Now, here's another challenge question.
Okay.
And this one says simply, it's going to be a little bit lengthy and I'll read it over if I have to. Okay. Do you see in this day a culture that provides so much negative and positive energy that if a person doesn't cultivate his own balance, he could get caught in the shuffle and lose his or her identity?
Absolutely.
Did you get that? Or you need to read that? Okay. If you kind of summarize that for me, okay. Because a lot of people now, they're losing identity and don't even know why they're losing. Help me with that. You have positive energy, you have negative energy, and they try and blame negative. Some people blame negative, some people blame positive. But when I was going to school umpteen years ago, they told me that you needed both, positive and negative.
Right.
Okay. And last time I checked my battery, it didn't have two positive posts, nor two negative. Help me with that.
Right. I mean, exactly. Life is a combination of the negative and the positive, and it's not going to be positive every time. And sometimes negative can be an asset because it helps develop us. A lot of times we go through negative experiences. A lot of negative experiences I've gone through helped to shape me. But in reference to like the culture and everything, culture is something that helps shape identity, dealing with the sort of cultural and societal norms and all of this and that. And it's important in this day and hour to try and cultivate. When we say positivity, it doesn't mean it's like sterile or perfect.
How about denial? You can't be in denial?
No, you can't be in denial.
Okay, I got you.
You cannot be in denial.
Please,
that's
just
address
that. Address that,
no,
please.
You have to be, that's a thing that I say that the church world definitely has to come away from. Because sometimes we can be walking church slogans or talking points, and we come off almost sometimes unauthentic.
Okay.
And we can't relate to people. Because we on our way to heaven, we join trip, we thank God for that. We too blessed to be stressed. Everything is some type of slogan. And we got to hold on to that. I'm not saying you can't declare, claim, and all of these things, but also be realistic, be real. You don't want to be so caught up in this stuff and to where you almost come off spooky.
Okay.
Because you can't relate to people. And if you can't relate to people, it's going to affect your ability to minister to people. Because people can't relate to you, they're going to be standoffish. So they can't. The thing about Jesus, the power of him, that he was relatable. That a lot of times, he had more problem with the religious people than the ranked sinner.
So, can you help me with this? That being the case, because I really want you to address this too. So, is it fair to say that it's better for me to be transparent than to be in denial?
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry.
Because culture today, how everything is geared up now, it's about transparency. It's about being authentic, being real, and understanding the aspect of knowing what culture is. And I try to make sure I keep we as believers, to keep ourselves educated and knowledgeable of what the culture is for either our kids, our grandkids, knowing the language, knowing the lifestyle, knowing what's going on. All of these things are essential. They're essential to understanding. That way you're able to deal with it. The more tools you have in your arsenal, the more things you're able to deal with. The more knowledgeable you are, the more well-rounded you are. And that's the type of person I want to be, that I can relate to different people in the culture. I may not be in your generation.
I understand.
But even though, you may call me whatever, but you say, well, at least he can relate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the power of the church, the power of the kingdom of God is being able to relate and be relevant. I heard it's talking about that religion or that revelation without relevance is just religion. You got to be, and where there is relevance, there is power. There is community. When it came to Jesus, we have not a high priest who cannot be touched by the feelings of our infirmity. He's relatable, that we can touch him, that we are touchable, that we're not so holy, that we're not so saved, that we can affect this culture. Awesome. That we got to understand, and there are going to be differences. We got to understand there are going to be differences. My kids, it's different. Even when I came up, it was different than your generation. There's different languages, there's different nuances. And the church, that's why I think that different people from whatever generation, when they're saved, when they're on fire for God, how they can go out and affect people in the culture.
Wow.
When you have young people, I want my kids to be able to get in their life to the Lord and where they can affect people. And when you have different people that are representatives of the culture, that God has set them there to affect the culture for the kingdom, to excite the world for the kingdom of God. And those of us who are on the inside, we have to make sure we're at a level of excitement, that we're motivated to where we can positively affect the culture. And we have to know who we are. Be confident in who we are and say, look, I can relate to you. There's somebody in the ministry that can relate to the culture that's out now.
I like that.
So they can see themselves.
I like that. Man, I like that. So then, help me with this. So that being the case right there, and while you were talking, I was thinking about something, and I'm sure you would agree with this to a degree, or whatever, however you feel with that. So then we say that the children outside are the younger generations, X, Z, 8, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. Boomer, it does. Well, boomers, we're old, But, we say, well, look, they're out there doing this. They're out there doing that. And that's one of the things, well, I can't relate. That's the word. I can't relate to this generation. Well, but I'm saved. All right. But in the church, I can't relate to them. But then when they come into church to, in other words, to be that positive, relational, hands-on person that can tell you what you don't know that they're saying at Walmart. But when you don't allow them, this is the thing that's really been troubling me lately. A lot of times we get caught up in, let's make sure that we keep a good standard. Well, it's okay to keep a good standard. Keep God in it. Make sure it remains holy. We understand that. But you got to have someone that's talking the language, because HOLY now in my day was HOLY. HOLY now might be GOMOD. You know what I'm saying? Because see, I used to say God was good, but this generation say he's dope. It's just saying he's good, basically. Right. And they have all these languages, but if you just keep them shut out of the church, you're going to be in the church ignorant. I hate to use that term, but you're going to be in the church ignorant because you have closed the door of the people that's talking the language. So how are you going to ever learn the language? But then and I say this lovingly and respectfully, because this is one of the things that God's been dealing with me with. And then on the other hand, you don't want to provide them a platform to teach you the language. Right. Am I close? Am I making any sense?
And that's the thing, that because they are in the culture, a lot of times, I'll just use my situation with my kids. A lot of times when I don't know something's going on, I'll ask them, because they know I don't know. I knew stuff with my generation.
To your day. Uh-huh.
And so I think that's why it's important and vital as we, through ministry, have the representation from these young people. Because what's coming after us says something about legacy. Because if you don't have anything coming behind you, then you don't have legacy.
I understand.
What helps establish legacy is that those things those ones that are coming behind us, that are going to keep the ball rolling.
Right.
The passing of the torches, you taking this ball and you running with it. And when all of us are gone and the new generation comes and they're on the scene and they're doing this, that's important for legacy. And you have to have people in ministry that can relate, that can speak it, that when they come, they see somebody, they see themselves. Because if they come and they don't see themselves, then they're going to feel out of place.
Out of place.
And if they feel out of place, it's hard for somebody to stay in a place where they feel out of place.
Absolutely.
But when they can come and see themselves and say, okay, hey, this I can see myself here. I can see myself here because I have somebody that can relate to me, that can vibe with me, that can kick it. I can kick it with, that we can talk the same language, that I don't need an interpreter or a translator.
I like that.
You know.
Man, I like that. And listen, now listen, I know you all are getting this, and I certainly hope and pray that you're going to continue to join us in the corner, because we want to make sure that we are headed in the direction at Greater Refuge Temple Ministries, and also connecting with people once we leave the confines of brick and mortar, to the point to where we can throw out a lifeline to rescue people. I was thinking when Elder Gerard, my son, was talking, and he was sharing there a few minutes ago, one of the things that came to my mind was, when you come into a church and everything is one way, then immediately the person that comes in, they find that is, in fact, if you understand culture, the culture of that church or that place or that building. In other words, everybody dressed with this and everybody's looking like this, and everybody just, when one moved to the left, the other one moved to the left, and one moved. In other words, culture is basically connected to, or should I say, it's better defined in simple terminology as what you see is what it is, okay? But then when you have what's called diversity, when there is diversity within the confines, specifically since we are in the corner, the bishop's corner, specifically when you are in the confines of a local church, I mean, we dare not become intimidated by change.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I really need you to kind of help me with this. Is it possible to have done something so long until you become intimidated by change?
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. And the thing about it, like now versus then, there was a point where people came to church looking for certain things in particular. I think the discussion is sometimes back in the day, people would come in off of the ability of the preaching gift of how well the preacher or the pastor could preach.
Right.
And a lot of times churches grew basically off of that because they came in for that. But as churches kind of grew and evolved and became and incorporated more ministries and more things of that nature, they don't come in looking for how well somebody preaches. They're looking for what kind of ministry do you have? What do you have for my babies, my kids? Or what type of ministries is available here? That's what they look for now. What type of social programs do y'all have? Or how engaged are y'all connected with the community? Those that, because people's needs or desires or what they're looking for now is different than what it used to be. And so you have to evolve with it. You have to move with the time and recognize that, because times are just different, And don't be intimidated by the change. Embrace it. Embrace it. It might be scary, no matter how scary it seems to you. Just like, back, we used to have the typewriters, just everything. Sometimes there were some people who were afraid to fool with phones because but when they kind of took the time and, okay, I'm going to take time and get with it, they became familiar with it. And then now, okay, it's not so bad. But sometimes we with the church was we felt like this was written in law. There's like the Ten Commandments.
And that's what it is, law. It becomes law.
We can't do this. This is not. God is a God of change, because we use that God is the same today, forevermore. Yes, he is. Who he is will forever be that. But as far as methods and the way he does, things change. God is a God. And we talked about the sons of Issachar, have an understanding.
Right. Deal with that. So then, let me ask you this. I mean, we're gonna have to quit. I mean, it's so good, but in just a minute, I'll tell you, my tech, he'll tell me that, let me know where we are as far as time is concerned here. But I was thinking about that, and then one of the things that God's been dealing with me in this older age of mine is the very fact that, okay, when we do church. The question is, when do we stop just doing church? because we've been doing church for so long. And then we have a tendency sometimes to say, well, you know what? We need change. Well, we say we need change, but then when change appears, we feel like it's an unholy change. And say the thing that I've been wrestling with more than anything, one of the things I've said this things I've been wrestling with, one of the things that I've been wrestling with is the very fact that to me, I have always been what they call a person of diversity. I've always believed that it is very dangerous to be so caught up in personal dogma until you create what I call a platform for your own ideologies. And you know as well as I know, philosophy is not all bad because we have to have, philosophy. But then on the other hand, if it becomes personal dogma, personal dogma is one of the things that tend to lead a church into more religion, having a form of godliness, and yet at the same time deny the power of God. So that is a chain that we're trying to break here. And I promise you, it is a stronghold. It is such a stronghold until sometimes you try and figure out how do you break this stronghold, because most people go think that everything you do is a sin. Well, the church, when I first got in the church, if you didn't breathe right, you were headed to the lake.
It's crazy.
Matter of fact, I was in one church. One time the lady came in, she said, I know I'm saved because I don't straighten my hair. Well, they didn't have extensions then. They didn't have braids and they didn't have all this then. But she said, if you straighten your hair, then you were unholy. You're becoming unholy. I met some folks one night that we had some people used to have their toes out in their shoes. Ladies used to have their toes out. They couldn't go to heaven. Then there are churches, and that's just their personal belief, whether it's personal dogma, organizational, how can I say this, teaching, whatever it was. Sometimes we can get so caught up until we forget this last point that you just hit on, understanding of the times. Now, if you were to vernacularize this, in other words, translate this for today in our closing remarks, what would you say understanding the times today would be basically centered around if we're going to be successful in the kingdom?
When you talked about understanding the time, the sons of Issachar,
right,
they were astute spiritually, politically, and culturally. They discerned what needed to be done, what they needed to align themselves with, and what they needed to stay away from. And in this day and hour, we need to be astute spiritually, culturally, and politically, and have discernment to know what we need to align ourselves with and what we need to stay away from.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And because they understood the time, they were able to know, perceive what Israel needed to do.
My God. Well, you've heard it. I'll tell you, I have enjoyed this time here at Elder JR. We certainly hope and pray that you have been blessed. Listen, we chose rather to do this, and we're probably you're probably getting part 2 of it today in this particular set. This is probably our part 2. But listen, we want you to remember to join us in the corner. We have some very, very relevant things coming up in the very near future. We have some great guests that will be sharing, and we will be trying to get us into a place where we are coming home where you are. Remember now, you're in the corner. And until the next time, on behalf of myself, my precious wife, Lady Ricard, my son, Elder JR, and the rest of my children and my grandchildren, greats, whatever, and the church family, we say a big God bless to you, and we hope that you have been blessed. And until the next time, remember, now to him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all you think or ask, according to the power that works in us, we give him glory, to him be dominion. And until the next time, we love you, and we'll see you. God bless.